Climate Action Coordinator for Mennonite Church Canada. I've gathered a few colleagues with me today to share some energy and enthusiasm and tips about accompanying young people in the church, specifically with regards to the climate crisis. This group, as you see here, together with about 6 others, just finished a 3-session book conversation about this awesome book, In Deep Waters by Talitha Amadea Aho. The subtitle of the book, maybe you can see it, is Spiritual Care for Young People in a Climate Crisis. This group and a few others, as I mentioned, met to listen to the voices of the young people in the book about their experiences of the church with regards to the climate crisis, and also to the author's insight about how we as adults provide spiritual care for our young people as they journey into a future of uncertainty and instability. Rather than giving you all the insight from the book here, I'm going to zoom out a little and ask a few questions of Kyle, Jonathan, Wendy, and Kathy. So my first question, friends, is this. Why is it important that adults learn to talk about the climate crisis with the kids and youth in their circles? Wendy, we're going to start with you.
Yeah, sure, I can jump in. Well, I think it's important for us to talk intergenerationally on all sorts of things. And this is like a critical issue of our time. And so as a church, it's important for us to be talking about it. It's important for us as adults to be modeling that it's okay and important to talk about difficult things, and that we play roles as mentors and elders, and we don't want to shirk that in such a time as this. This is the day that we're living in, and this is the issue, and we want to be there and, creates the space to have these difficult conversations. And I just thought, she said one thing in the introduction. She said, all the work that we do in our various vocations must be accompanied by this one universal vocation. We are called to care for one another. And so it's an act of caring.
I'm with you, Wendy. If we don't live out our commitment to love our children and our young people, then we have failed them. We have failed in our responsibility, actually, to be the church, right? If we don't see them, hear them, take them seriously, then we are missing the mark in this day. And so when I read the statement in the book, what was that say? Yeah, take their experience seriously. I thought, oh yeah, that's exactly one of the mandates of the church in this day.
Okay, question number 2. What are some of the critical ingredients to these conversations? If a person wants to have a conversation with the younger generation, what needs to be part of that?
Yeah, as we show up for conversations with our young people in our lives about climate change and the church and all of our shared futures together, I like to think that all we need is a deep love of God and God's creation. We have a deep love for the people in our lives, and whether they're our own children or grandchildren, our nephews and nieces and our nibblings, or whether they're the children in our church. I think if we just have that love, then I think that gives us permission to have the conversation. And then as we move towards our loved ones, I think I like to emphasize that we're in this together, that we will accompany you, that we will show up for you. You are not alone, that we will face the future together, and whether it's good or bad, and as we transition to a less fossil fuel intense future, that we will do it together. And it might be great and it might be hard, and there will be joys and there will be challenges along the way, but we as humans have done this before, and we in the church have done this before, and so we've got you. We've got you. And we can say with confidence that we got you because God's got us, and we know this. We experience this, and we tell people about this, and we've lived into this. And so we can tell the young people in our lives, God's got us, and we've got each other.
What do we not need to be in order to begin to support or to have conversations with younger generations about this stuff? Kyle, your hand is right up there.
I don't think that we have to be perfect. To quote the philosopher Voltaire, perfect is the enemy of good. That any step in the right direction, big step, small step, as long as we are moving to address the twin threats of climate change and the biodiversity crisis, those are good steps. And so we do not need to be perfect. Perfect is the enemy of good.
Nice.
Jumping on that, I'll say, that we worry about being hypocrites. I think we think we're not perfect. And so what do we have to say? How can we be leaders in this? But someone from Arosha, Canada once said to me that hypocrisy is the price of admission. We can't do everything, and so we do what we can. We do our best, and we work in the fields and the arenas that we have some influence in.
Okay, how can a person get equipped to start these kinds of conversations about climate and the interconnected crises that surround us? And I'm not talking about like a conversation that goes somewhere. I'm talking about opening the conversation, hearing what people have, hearing what our younger generations have to say, and what their concerns are. What do we need to, what would you tell people they need to do to get ready for it?
And I think that the best thing to do really is just to get curious and be humble and seek information and start sifting.
Nice.
In my region, we've been really cared for by our regional climate action working group, and they have done a lot of calling and recommending for our congregations, and I found that to be really helpful. I had lots to learn, and they kind of did, and Common Word, is a resource for all of us. And yeah, I really trust that these people have done some of that sifting for us, so I don't have to do all of that.
Yeah. Speaking of Common Word, there is a new collection coming out, or maybe is out already by the time you're seeing this video, called Together in Hope, towards faith-based intergenerational action and dialogue in the climate crisis. And it's kind of a curated list of where to start when talking with kids and youth, young people about the climate crisis. So it's kind of a big toolbox on Common Word, Together in Hope. Last thing I want to ask these friends, what if you were going to give a tip for folks in the church who are thinking, I do want to get into conversation with my kids, my grandkids, my grandkids, my nieces, nephews, nibblings, the children, the youth, the folks around me who are facing this crisis with a long life ahead of them. What tips do you have for them?
To use a sort of an acronym for this, we could think of ourselves as approaching the question as HICS. So HICS stands for having humility, information, and curiosity. So if we say to ourselves, we need to admit that we don't know everything, and that whatever opinions we bring forth, we know that others are going to think differently, and we should then be motivated to gather information from others, which is also a humble task. And as we're doing that, to maintain curiosity both about the people that we're speaking with and about the topic as more information unfolds.
Another tip. Who's next?
Simply get outside. Take the conversation outside. Go for a walk with your youth group, with your kids, with whomever you're having this conversation with. And while you're having the conversation, you also have the opportunity to reconnect with creation itself. And I think that that's a critical piece in this is finding that sense of reconnection to God's good earth, God's blessed and beloved community of creation. And the more time we spend there, the more likely we are to be passionate about saving it. And I also recommend, worshiping outside, taking your Bible outside, seeing what happens.
I would say in your congregation, find the nearest person who's younger than you and plant a tree. Or if you're really fancy, plant a native plant pollinator garden. Do it on the church grounds, private yards, go guerrilla, plant a tree in a park. Do it together. It's a symbolic gesture that shows that you care about the present and the future. It's a bonding experience between different generations. And the younger person will remember forever that they planted that tree with you.
And see where that leads, right? You're going to be talking while you're digging.
A journey always starts with a single step.
Yeah.
Bring the things that are filling them with all kinds of big emotion into all parts of our life, into our worship life, our prayer life, our witness life, our fellowship life, our formation. So that this isn't just something on the side. This is very central, actually, to them. And so I would encourage the church also to bring our understandings, all of our care into all the corners of our congregational life.
Thanks, Kathy. So good. Thank you so much, friends, for talking about this with me and with each other, and for sharing some of your thoughts and insights with our larger community. It's important. The climate crisis is here and will only be of increasing significance in our lives and in the lives of our youth and children. So it's time for the church to build strength and capacity in responding faithfully to the crisis, and to actively support the generation of our people that will be most impacted by this crisis in the course of their lives. From all of us, blessings and strength and wisdom to you as you journey together with the younger folks in your life.